Greetings, everybody. I hope we're all having an awesome Thanksgiving break. Now that I'm home, I have an awesome opportunity, a lot of free time, so I thought I'd finally make a video just thanking everyone and just kind of talking about the mission trip that I went on to West Virginia this entire past summer. So, first things first, what is in order are some thanks for the people who helped fund me. Thank you, Jessica Williams, my Norland Scholar pal. Thank you, Aunt Cheryl. You are so wonderful. And my bro, James. Dude, you're the man. Super cool how you're inspired to do stuff now. Everybody, James is doing some super cool stuff with an organization called Lifesong. And if you want to donate to something else, Lifesong would be it. Greta Ryder, my sloth-loving friend, thank you so much for your support. And of course, there are thanks in order to my old rowdy roommates, Thug Daddy, Big B Nasty, and G-Dog. Thanks to both of you. Thank you, the upcoming parents, Tara and Brad Blue. I wish you both the best. Thank you, Rodney Klang, and your entire family. Thank you, Dee Dee, Becca, and Rachel, and especially your mother, Kathleen. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Both of you guys sent really generous gifts, and I have not even really gotten to talk to you that much, Mrs. Klang, but it's super cool that you're willing to support this. Of course, thank you, Grandma Dorothy, and my late grandfather, Don. Thank you, both of you. Thank you, the Blackwells, David and Emma. And a huge thank you to Bruce Stricklet for donating the last chunk that I really needed without ever having met me. We talked on the phone, and he was just super excited about supporting something that was for God's kingdom. And so, Bruce, thank you for that. I sincerely appreciate it. I also had two generous anonymous donors. I don't know who you guys are, but I appreciate it nonetheless. I don't know why you're anonymous, but whatever. I'd like to thank your face, but this is what we'll have to do. So, let's talk about next step a little bit. What did the money even go toward? I got to fly out to Wisconsin and get training there for 1 week, just about what our summer would look like. I got to meet my team, really get involved with them, and then we had to drive all the way to West Virginia from Wisconsin. There we had 1 week of preparation, and then we had 9 weeks of having students 1 week at a time at our site. So we were camped out in a church. It was in Glenville, West Virginia, and when we were there, we'd have groups of students come in from all over different states, and those teams we would then drive to Rosedale, West Virginia, which is the main community that we worked in. They would just work there for the entire day, so we'd wake them up, we'd go to Rosedale, we would eat breakfast there, and then go to our work sites and have lunch on work site, and then keep working all day, get done around like 4, and then drive back from our work sites to this main community center, and we'd eat there, and then we'd go back to Glenville at the church, and then we would have worship and free time, and then they would go to sleep in the church. So that's just kind of like what a standard day would look like. So some really cool things that happened this summer just on my site in West Virginia was we did 8 weeks of construction work in Rosedale. We did one kind of different week in Glenville. We had around 700 students there, and they all worked their butts off, usually some a little more than others, but we loved them all the same. We did siding, painting, roofing, flooring, trim work, insulation. We hung doors, we hung windows. We did some wiring, not usually the students. We usually had professionals do that anyway. We mudded. Oh my gosh, did I learn how to mud. That's what I did most of the summer. So, if you ever need mudding work, I probably know what I'm doing now. We hung drywall. One time we jacked up a house, which was really cool, like with a, kind of like what you jack your car up with, but really intense. So many other things. But what did that actually do? You know, those are just like, oh yeah, it's cool stuff that we did, stuff we learned how to do. But we worked on the community center, which we would eat at in Rosedale. We made some staff housing for people from Next Step to stay at in future years so that we don't have to make the commute from Glenville to Rosedale. So that's neat. But the big ones are that we had 4 primary community members that we worked with all summer long, and each of them had their own house. There were teams that would go to each of those houses, and we worked on their houses for the entire summer. And some of them were new builds that Next Step initiated. So like 3 years ago, there was nothing there, and they laid down foundation, and then the next year they did framing and roofing, and then the third year, we put up drywall insulation, mudded the walls, painted the walls, laid flooring. So essentially, like, Next Step has built someone an entire house who really needed it. We also just did like a few other various projects. So like when one of those would get finished, or if for some reason we couldn't work on those, we would paint someone's house who needed it. We would do small jobs that would only take a couple days. So like when we jacked up the house, that's one of those things where it'd only take like 2 days. You jack it up and do some repairs. But overall, like, a ton of work was done, and this was only in one summer. But when you funnel through, like, on average, we had like 60 kids a week, students a week, with leaders. And so if you do that, every week you have like this constant, huge army of people, like, just doing God's work, helping people, building houses, and fixing up shelter. So overall, the thing that you donated money to was to provide much better shelter than what these people had. I don't know how much everyone knows about Next Step, but it's really cool that their plan, kind of like their scheme of how to get stuff done, is not just this army of kids comes in and just does everything. They very much emphasize working alongside the community members and the residents. And so I just thought that was a really cool model, and it causes relationship to be built between not only Next Step staff, like myself and my entire team, with those community members, but eventually they start to open up to the students and the leaders who are on their site. And so there's just a lot of really cool growth that comes out of that, and really cool relationship and friendships are made. So initially I was hired on, so like in my other videos it was like, I'm going to this thing and I will be the Next Step drummer for their worship team in West Virginia. And so that was going to kind of be my title. But I did a lot more than just drum. In fact, I felt like drumming was not even like a secondary job. That was just kind of like something fun in the background. So I knew that I would be doing construction, but I thought that I would kind of be like the assistant to a construction person. As we were getting assigned our sites, so they were like, okay, of my team members, they were like, Brian and Ross, you'll be on this site, and then we'll have Natalie over here, and Hannah can help her, and then we're going to have Ben working close to Allie, and then we're going to have Alex work with Steve. And at that moment, everyone kind of pauses, and I'm just like, did I miss something? Like, who is Steve? Because I thought I just spent like a whole week with our team, and there's no one named Steve on our team. So that's when I find out that I get to work with a community member who is your stereotypical West Virginian. And so I show up to site the first day not having met this partner that I'm going to work all week with. So the first day was just, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what we'd be working on. I didn't know who Steve was. And so I ended up working with him for a week. And eventually they say, you know what, we think you can do this. So over the course of the summer, I led a team on a construction site by myself with having no real previous construction knowledge. So I would do YouTube videos like the night before at like midnight, and stay up watching those. I would talk to our construction guys and just be like, okay, so how exactly are you supposed to mud? How do you lay floor? How do I paint? And through a lot of teamwork, it actually worked out, and we didn't really have hiccups, and we ended up finishing a house, which was super cool.